Hey, welcome to Binge Bar. I don't know how, but we're going to be talking about the NHL 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs, and I'm super stoked about that because due to the coronavirus, I'm pretty sure our NHL season was supposed to be canceled just like almost every other sport, but it's not, and here we are, and we had a hiatus for making videos due to a lot of things going on in our personal life, but we're here, and we're super stoked to be doing this. So, anyway, we're going to go right into this, and remember, it's all an opinion, and we can only do the qualifying round right now. And going forward, we'll make more videos to keep you updated on our thoughts and opinions on the 2020 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm going to be looking at my phone, though, a little bit throughout this video. It's not a script or anything. It's just the matchups of who's going through with this. And the reason I have to do this is because it's a lot more teams than usual. Typically, every year you go into the playoffs with 16 teams. Not this year. For whatever reason, Gary Bettman decided, hey, we're going to bring hockey back, and everyone's going to just be in it, except for a couple teams here and there. We have 24 teams this year, which is absolutely insane. And I really don't understand the point of that, but we're not even going to get into that. We have a whole podcast. It might be out the time this video comes out, or this might be out before that. But regardless, it's called Two Shots of Sauce. It's the second episode. And really the whole video is just us talking about the playoffs for about the first half hour. And then the second half of that video, more like 15 minutes, is us talking about more of the MLS and going forward with our channel. But yeah, 24 teams, not 16. There are 4 seeds from each conference, 2 from each division, who don't have to play us and are just granted into what would be the second, but really the first round. And that's the round robin. For the qualifying round, you have, for the first matchup, it's going to be the Penguins versus the Canadiens. And we're just going to jump right into this and talk about this. The Pittsburgh Penguins, playoff veterans, playoff Gino, Sidney Crosby, all-star Chris Letang, 3 stacked goalies of Matt Murray, Tristan Jarry, and Casey DeSmith. Back-to-back champions. An insane playoff monster of a team. Sometimes the regular season's a little shaky, but once they get into the playoffs, they are an unreal team. I know last year they were swept by the New York Islanders, but I've never seen something like that. But yeah, Pittsburgh Penguins. They had one hell of a season despite all the injuries they had. There was a time they were playing without Gino and Sid, a skeleton of a team, and they were still pulling 2 points out of nowhere. And then they're playing the Montreal Canadiens, who are the 12th seed going to the playoffs this year. I don't know what Montreal is going to do. They don't really have the means to go deep in the playoffs. They can't make a playoff run. They were better off missing the playoffs just to avoid the embarrassment of getting destroyed by the Pittsburgh Penguins. And one thing that I did forget to mention about the new playoff format, sorry about that, the new playoff format about this season, postseason, is that it's not best of 7 until later on. Starting off with best of 5. And the fact that Montreal thinks they have a chance of defeating Pittsburgh in this, I think is absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. The only thing Pittsburgh has that really the Penguins don't is Carey Price. Carey Price, in my opinion, is probably one of the greatest goalies of all time. And Pittsburgh is going to really struggle going up against Carey Price. But other than that, I think Pittsburgh's going to have this round in the bag. Moving on, you have the 6th seed and the 11th. The Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers. I'm going to start talking about the Rangers before I get into the Hurricanes. Hurricanes I had originally making the playoffs. The Rangers, on the other hand, I mean, horrible start. Unbelievably horrible start. What a strong finish. Mika Zibanejad, not even a career year. This is an insane, and it's absolutely insane of the year this guy is having. 5 goals in 1 game. You think you pay up for Artemi Panarin, he's going to be your best goal scorer. Mika Zibanejad, franchise player, I would call him. The guy's an absolute GOAT. He's a machine, and I love the guy. I'm not a Rangers fan. They're actually probably my least favorite team. But, wow, I got to say, Mika Zibanejad, what a season. If they can take this into the playoffs right now, they'll be unbelievable. Jacob Trouba, their defense is so unbelievably stacked. They got the youth. They've got the vets on that team. They're doing everything right. The coach has been phenomenal for them. And again, they had a really strong end to, well, where the season ended. They really did amazing, and I really think they couldn't go far in the playoffs if they can get past the Hurricanes. For goaltending, Henrik Lundqvist, Georgiev, and Shesterkin, I believe you pronounce his name. The fact that Lundqvist isn't even a backup at this point, because you got 2 goalies who are better than Henrik Lundqvist. Despite his age, you're still better than Henrik Lundqvist? That's such a flex. It's unreal. And they're going up against Carolina, which I wouldn't say Carolina's goaltending is really anything admirable. I would say their goaltending at anything is mediocre, and in my opinion, they have 2 backup goaltenders starting for their team. Defense, though, on the other hand, is absolutely stacked, I would say, on that team. with the additions of Brady Shea from the Rangers, which is extremely funny now that they're playing against each other. And I think Brady Shea typically is a pretty good playoff contender. But yeah, Jacob Slavin, they traded Justin Falk to the Blues for Edmonton, along with other names. Their defense is looking really good down there in Carolina. I absolutely hate the Storm Surge, but besides from that, Carolina's looking like a good team. I'm a little salty. They swept my Islanders last season, but I think they have what it takes to go up against the Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to have the series in the bag, but Carolina can put up a good fight. They got the addition of Troy Shek from the Panthers, and he's going to be a fantastic goal scorer. Sebastian Aho can't match his speed unless you're Connor McDavid. I think the Hurricanes have a chance, but I think the Rangers are just going to stomp on the Hurricanes. Our third matchup is the New York Islanders and the Florida Panthers. That's going to be a weird one because the Islanders had a very strong start to the season. I believe it was a 17-game point streak and came to an end, and they had a very, very sad ending to the season. They just couldn't get wins. When it seemed they couldn't lose, now they couldn't get wins at the end of the season. They traded a bunch of picks for Pageau from the Ottawa Senators, and he is a fantastic acquirement for the club. And he said when he first got here, hey, there's a lot of pressure on me. I'm happy to be here. I love it here. I miss Ottawa, but I love it here right now. And I'm not going to be the guy that's going to score a bunch of goals for this team. First 3 games, first 3 goals for the team. They lost, I think, all 3 of those games, but he still scored in those games. And the Islanders play a very defensively sound game. They play a very tight game. And, I mean, they're playing under Barry Trotz. The Trotz effect. The minute he came in, that team made the playoffs. They won the playoff series, which they weren't able to do, except that one time with JT. But we're going to get into the Maple Leafs and JT later. Right now, I'm focusing on this because I have a lot to say about the Maple Leafs in this video. Not even trashing on them. There's just a lot to say about them and the season they had. But with the Islanders, goaltending, they lost Robin Lehner. Thomas Greiss, not the best season. He still did pretty well. Varlamov, what an amazing year this guy had. You thought you lost Robin Lehner and it might have been over. Varlamov, outstanding. And I was happy with that acquirement. I love Robin Lehner, and it really kills me to see that he's gone. But hey, what a great support he was given to the team, and we still support him even wherever he is now out in Vegas. But yeah, I really got to say though, the Islanders are going to put up a fight. They just need to really come together and remember that defensive style hockey that they play. Certain players are going to have to play up to their caliber. Jordan Eberle, Anders Lee, they didn't have the most fantastic season, but they're going to have to really bring it into the playoffs. Anders Lee's going to have to show that he's a captain and he can lead this team and going deep into the playoffs. You know, Florida Panthers, nothing too positive to say, nothing too negative to say. You get Sergei Bobrovsky, you lose Robert Lumongo. Bobrovsky should have been that goalie that would really amplify your team, that would really make us look like, hey, we're ready to go into the playoffs and we're ready to finally go deep. Instead, we got a rematch of the last time he got destroyed by the New York Islanders in the playoffs. I really don't think the Panthers are going to stand a chance here. Barkov, Huberdeau, Hoffman, great goal scorer. Great solid defense. Ekblad, solid guy. You know, somebody on the call there, never really understood that, but not trashing on the Panthers. I just don't know if they will be able to put up that big of a fight. I don't know if it's even going to be an exciting series, but I'm going to have to take the Islanders out on this, and that's not just because I'm biased, but just by looking at the team on paper. Unless Bobrovsky can really show up, I think the Islanders might have this one in the bag. And our last matchup of the Eastern Conference is the Maple Leafs and the Blue Jackets. And that's going to be a weird one. Maple Leafs are known to lose in 7 games, but this year, you know, going to keep it fresh, probably going to lose in 5 games. You know, keep that media a little fresh there in Toronto. Because the Columbus Blue Jackets, I don't even know how they're in the playoffs this year. You lose Artemi Panarin, you lose Sergei Bobrovsky, Dzingel, Duchesne, like, I can keep going on. You lost everybody on this team. And somehow, you didn't have a horrible season. You did better than teams that I had making the playoffs. Granted, I don't know if you really would have made the playoffs anyway, but you're here, and I'm rooting for them. Mainly because it would be hilarious for them to just stomp on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto, you finally got Frederik Andersen, that backup he needed, in Campbell from the Kings. You got Austin Matthews, one of the greatest goal scorers of our generation. And it's still soon to say, but I think that's pretty fair to say. John Tavares, a highly skilled player. Not really my guy, you know, after the New York incident, but that's old news. Not really my guy, but phenomenal player. Mitch Marner, an incredible player. You got stacked defense, which is something you always struggled with. Got rid of Jake Gardner. You have Morgan Riley. You got Jake Muzzin. You're looking like a very solid team. You even have Tyson Barrie. I know he didn't have his great year, and he's going to be looking for a payout this summer. But you have Tyson Barrie, and I would feel pretty comfortable going into the playoffs this year. Somehow, if you can get out of this first round, that's awesome. I'm not rooting for you, but that's awesome. But I really do think Blue Jackets have it in bag this year. You know, they got They lost Bobrovsky, but they got Elvis in the net now, and he's looking pretty good. And I'm pretty confident that the Blue Jackets are going to have this. And before we move over to the Western Conference, I think I should mention the 4 seeds that don't even have to play in this qualifying round. And that is the Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning, Washington Capitals, and the Philadelphia Flyers. Any one of those teams really have a chance at the Cup. I know everybody always says the Lightning, but I just don't feel confident in playoff Lightning. The Bruins always are a contender for the Stanley Cup, not the playoffs, the Stanley Cup. The Bruins, I would say, is probably the best team on paper, if I really had to pick one. Philly, wow, what a season you guys turned around. You know, I hate you, Philly, like I really do, but you guys really turned it around, and you guys really went far, and you know, the hockey gods are watching, you can have another feel-good story. Oscar Lindblom, you know, cancer this year, he's turning it around, but still had cancer, you know, playing out for Oscar. I think they might even have a shot at the Cup, and that pains me to say, but I think they could go far. And, you know, Washington Capitals, you guys are always a contender. I mean, Ovechkin and I got Kovalchuk, improved that defense. Kuznetsov, Oshie. You guys are a powerhouse of a team, and can't really say anything yet because I'm not too sure who you're going to be versing, but you guys definitely have what it takes to go far. This is Braden Holtby's last year, though, in Washington, which I wonder what's going to happen to him, because I don't know if Washington's going to want to pursue that contract now with Samsonov coming in, but it's definitely going to be something to talk about. We're going to make more videos and podcasts. Remember to check them out, 2 Shots of Sauce, coming up about free agency and just our thoughts and opinions and everything going on. But finally moving over to the Western Conference. So far, so good with this video. One take. Feeling very good about that. We have the Oilers, the 5th seed, playing the 12th seed, the Chicago Blackhawks. I think it's going to be the best series, honestly, to watch. You have one of the greatest of all time. Arguably, could become one of the greatest of all time. Connor McDavid versus the American hero, Patrick Kane on the Blackhawks. Blackhawks shouldn't even be in the playoffs. You're the 12th seed. You're like the Montreal of the West. But the difference is you have Patrick Kane. When Patrick Kane is in the playoffs, it's like Evgeny Malkin. It's better than Evgeny Malkin. He is such an elite player. I don't even have the words to describe how much of a threat it would be watching him in the best of 5 series. I think it'd really be good for Edmonton to pull some things together. But I just don't think you can go up against Patrick Kane and his powerhouse of a team. You know, Crawford's going to really have to look like Corey Crawford again. They're probably really kicking themselves they traded Robin Leonard now that they made the playoffs because nobody thought this was going to happen. But you got the youth, you got DeBrincat, you got Strome, you got Kubalik, I believe you pronounce his name, and you still have Jonathan Taves. You still have a very nice-looking defense, but some certain other players other than Patrick Kane are going to have to stand up and really look like the team that you know they are, because you know when the Blackhawks are in the playoffs, they're going to tear it up. The Oilers, we haven't really seen you too much in the playoffs. Don't really know what you can do. You know, it's been a while since you guys have been there. It's been a couple years, and even the last time you were, Anaheim put up a good fight. Somehow Anaheim didn't make it. Most teams didn't, near Anaheim. But yeah, the Oilers, Leon Draisaitl, what a year he had. What an incredible year he had. He finally proved that he's not a product of Connor McDavid, and he is fully capable of carrying a team by himself. If he was on any other team, just about, he would be the greatest player on that team. He is such an incredible player. I would take, obviously McDavid's way better, but I would take Draisaitl. He's just so incredible. Such an incredible player. Definitely one of my favorites in the league. And I think the Oilers do have what it takes to put up a good fight. James Neal, the real deal. It's going to be a big deal if he can't start scoring goals like he used to. He had a strong start to the season. Sorry, I just bit my tongue there. He had a strong start to the season, and he's really going to have to show up in the playoffs. Otherwise, it's not looking good for James Neal. But it's going to be a very exciting matchup to watch. But moving on, we have the Predators versus the Coyotes. I don't know what happened to the Predators this year. Thought they were going to be way better, and they really weren't. And I would say that's probably the curse of Matt Duchene. Any team he goes to just doesn't really seem to do anything. If anything, he just kills them. And I love Duchene, but I don't know what it is. He's like cursed. But yeah, Pekka Rinne didn't have the season that we all thought Pekka Rinne was going to have. Saros is a solid backup, and he could probably eventually even start after Rinne's time is over. But yeah, the Predators, I don't know what really happened there this year. I'm not really rooting for anybody in the series, but I think the Coyotes might actually have a chance. Phil Kessel is going to have to look like Phil Kessel again, Phil the Thrill. Taylor Hall was a huge addition to that team. I know Arizona's going to really want him to show up, and he's not doing bad with the short amount of time he has in Arizona, but he's really going to have to look a little better. If both their goaltenders can stay healthy, Antti Ranta, what a machine, what a beast. I think he can really take this team pretty far into the playoffs, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Coyotes easily sweep this round. I know it's a hot take to say, being, the Coyotes are the 11th seed, but now you have these guys in the playoffs. amazing defense, amazing offense, stacked goaltending. I think people really start having to notice now the Arizona Coyotes, and I think it's going to be a pretty good series to watch. Moving on, Vancouver Canucks, Minnesota Wild. Pretty weird series. Wasn't expecting to see Minnesota in the playoffs along with really too many of these other teams, but especially Minnesota. I don't think they're going to do anything. I would like to see them. Minnesota's like one of the pinnacle capitals of hockey, but I just don't see Minnesota really stepping forward and doing anything here. Their defense is all right. Their forwards are all right. Goaltending is pretty decent, but there's nothing to me screaming saying that we're ready to win the cup and we're going to make it far. I don't think they're going to beat the Canucks at all. The last time Vancouver did anything relevant was when they destroyed their city after losing in 2011 to the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup Final, which I totally get. That would kill me, losing, especially to the Bruins. But yeah, Vancouver's looking pretty good. Pedersen, Besser, Horvat. And that's, they traded for Toffoli. They got Ferland, JT Miller. Pretty solid goaltending, I would even say, too. Defense is looking good. Yeah, I would definitely say Vancouver's a force to be reckoned with. And I don't think they're going to make it too far, but I think they might have this matchup in the bag. I would say this is an easy sweep. And yeah, that's really all I have to say on that series. But our last matchup of the West is the Calgary Flames and the Winnipeg Jets. Two teams I had before the season started doing fantastic, phenomenal. And both teams just really didn't show up. Calgary was plagued from the beginning of the season. The whole Bill Peters controversy with the racism, which we're making a video about too. Make sure you check that out too. We're going to put the link in the description because I believe that one's going to go way before this one. But yeah, it was after they lost their head coach. He was a phenomenal head coach, but little controversy, a couple mistakes. You lose that coach, you're just your shell of a team of what you once were. They finished first in the division last year. A phenomenal team. This year, I really don't know. They just couldn't connect. They finally pulled it together. They're the 8th seed here. Should have done way better. Very disappointed in Calgary, and I think it's really going to show in the playoffs, not having that head coach there. Always rooting for Johnny Gaudreau. Fantastic player, one of my favorites. Johnny Ham and Cheese, but I don't know really what they're going to do. Giordano's going to have to be the defensive powerhouse that he is. Goaltending's going to have to look good. Monahan's going to have to show up, but I really don't know what the series is going to hold. I think they might definitely walk all over Winnipeg, though. And the reason I say that is Winnipeg's forwards stacked. Patrick Laine, Connor, Ehlers, Blake Wheeler. What an amazing forward powerhouse this team is. You look at their defense, it's ridiculous. Dustin Byfuglien retires. Jacob Trouba to the Rangers. Myers, Chiriot. This team just kept losing players left and right. And now their best defensive guy they got now is Pionk from the Rangers. He was traded for Brendan Lemieux. It's like this team is just falling apart, and it sucks they really weren't able to make a big splash at the deadline to try to get some really solid defensemen. I thought they were going to maybe try to trade for Tyson Barrie, but they didn't want to do that, and now that they're in the playoffs as the 9th seed, I don't think it's looking good. Connor Hellebuck, he's going to have to look big between the pipes because I think that's their only option. But I think the Flames really might have this in the bag. Easily. Easy series for the Flames, I would say. And our 4 seeds of this conference was the St. Louis Blues. They could always go back-to-back. Never count out the Blues. Predicted it last year they were going to win the Cup. From last to first, won the Cup. What an amazing series. What a feel-good series that was. And I think they do have the caliber to go back-to-back. And I really wouldn't mind seeing that. Another year of Gloria. Colorado Avalanche, another team that could easily win the Cup. Both contenders. The Avalanche are a fantastic team. Offensively stacked, defensively stacked. Goaltending's a little sketch, but I don't think that's going to really hurt them that much. I think they'll be able to definitely bounce back, and I think they're definitely going to tear it up going forward. The Golden Knights, since they came into the league, they've always been a threat. Now they got Robin Lehner behind Fleury. Imagine having your team's 2 goalies, starting and backup, Robin Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury. Team's looking incredible. It's going to be... I can't wait to talk about it after this round happens so we can more discuss these seeds of teams and see what's going to happen going forward. And then you have the Dallas Stars. Love Tyler Seguin. It's looking like a solid team, but again, I can't really give too much on these seeds because, we have to get past the qualifying rounds. But that's really my predictions. Our predictions at bingebar for the 2020 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. And give us your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Always check out our podcast, 2 Shots of Sauce. And I think that's it for the video today. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.